All right. Today, um, you probably noticed on the Canvas page that publication of the final paper submission is there now. Okay. So if you get a chance, definitely I would, before I submit that final paper next week, I would read through the uh, I have a pretty extensive um, rubric there of how we're going to grade that paper. Okay. And make sure you read through that rubric so that your paper is hitting all those notes. All right. And it's making sure that it's picking up on those things that we have outlined in the rubric there. Okay. Um, Forum post, make sure you finish that one up, by the end of the week and get your reply in. And then we have final exam, which will become available Monday for you to work on Monday through Friday of next week. So those are our course announcements. Do you guys have any questions on anything that's due or what's going on with that as far as due dates?
We can still send you a draft, right, of our paper?
Certainly. Absolutely.
Okay.
Hopefully sometime this weekend, or Monday, would be a good time for me to review those drafts and get back some comments to you. It's probably not the best to like send me a draft on Wednesday or Thursday and then, you know what I mean, and then turn it in on Friday. So if you got a draft or if you got a portion that you want me to look at, and you can get it to me in the next 72 hours or so, that'd be awesome. I'd be happy to review that and get you some comments on that. Good question. Any others as far as due dates or things like that go? No. Okay. So let's talk format of exam first. Unless you guys, well, maybe even before that. Let's make sure that we don't have any questions about the finishing up of the notes that I sent out yesterday. Anybody got anything that, questions or things they want to add as far as notes or as far as, content or things like that? The big part, again, is that cathedral building aspect of the notes that you guys are able to identify visually what's Gothic and what is Romanesque, and then be able to explain as if you were explaining it to. Remember, some of you guys are missing some points on the quizzes, and this has been helpful for this class and also future history classes, or not just history classes, but just future classes. Always answer your questions, if they're writing questions, as if the reader doesn't have a clue what you're talking about. It's always like the best way to kind of go into it. The easiest way to get into trouble on those types of questions is to say, well, he knows what I'm talking about, or she knows what I mean by that. That tends to make your answers unclear and a bit brief. Okay, so on those types of questions, like I said, it doesn't just have to be history. It can be English, it can be philosophy, it can be really any discipline where you're writing paragraphs. Try not to assume that the reader knows what you're talking about. Okay, and be explicit with your detail, and then read over it and be like, yeah, that. I think if nobody knew what that was about, that they would have a pretty good understanding of what I meant by that. Okay, I think that's a good way to go through those questions and a helpful way to think about that. Anything on the notes at all? I think I've been, they're out there, they're downloadable. All the notes are downloadable, pretty explainable. I guess I'll sit for a second, see if anybody's got anything on any of those notes.
Will the final cover everything from the beginning of the of the class to the end? Like, can it cover any topic from the whole semester pretty much?
Good question. Um, so uh, here's here's how it looks, and I just put some touches on it last night, and I'm getting into it again today so I can polish it up. Um, I guess the best way to explain it is that um, the pictures and the document-based questions are only going to come from stuff that we've been doing in the remote environment. Okay, so the pictures and the documents questions, which there be, like I said, around 5 of those are only going to come from basically the Viking material forward. Okay. However, because this isn't a 100 level class, but it's also not a 400 level class. It's a 200 level class. There has to be, I think, an element of comprehensiveness to it. Okay, in order for you guys to be ready to move on to the next level. So what that means is there's going to be questions in the true false nature, in the multiple choice answer nature, in the timeline, put these in the correct timeline type nature. You guys know what questions I'm talking about by now, that are going to cover things going back to what we covered in our earliest chapters. So, do you know who St. Augustine is? Okay, are you going to be able to pick out a few W's of detail from uh, St. Martin of Tours? Okay, do you know the difference between Clovis and the Merovingians versus Charles the Hammer Martel and the Carolingians? Okay, it's stuff like that. Okay, so it's going to be those types of questions, but there won't be any picture or source-based questions from anything in the first part of the semester. The only thing from the first part of the semester are going to be identification questions and W's. Can you identify those?
How many questions is it looking like in total? Is it going to be like 15, like you said before, or is it a little bit more than that?
I think that when it's all said and done, it'll be around 15 true, false, multiple choice timeline questions, and then 4 or 5, haven't decided yet, 4 or 5 source-based picture questions.
Okay.
The time, like I said, is going to be extended beyond the typical 2-hour limit. I haven't decided exactly how much time that's going to be, but it's going to be plenty of time for you to be able to work with your notes, work with the texts, and get out good formidable answers within the time period. Okay, you won't feel a time crunch. I'll just put it that way. Or no, I shouldn't say that. You shouldn't feel a time crunch if you've prepared. Okay, if you've prepped yourself and you got your notes ready and you have your books and everything ready to go, and you're in a kind of a calm, distraction-free environment when you click begin on that test, you should be fine. All right. Now, like I said, if you just go in and click on it and your book's on the other side of the room and your notes are all kind of cattywampus with your other notes from other classes, then yeah, you might bump up against it at the end there. Okay. But just make sure that you reserve yourself a good, 2 hours or so of time when you click begin sometime next week. And I will be happy to field any and all questions on Canvas message, email. If you need to, we could even do individual Zoom if you want to ask me a question that way. It doesn't matter. I mean, my wife and I, we've been doing Zoom recruiting with recruits. It's been interesting. I'll just put it that way, to recruit via Zoom. Uh, and I don't, it's interesting and also new and kind of fun, but you can't like go out and watch anybody play because everybody's, you know, hunkered down inside their house. Thanks, Ethan, for those questions. Anybody else got anything? I guess I'll sit for a minute. I mean, they'll come to you if you got one. Really, I don't know, man. I think that we've done a pretty good job of getting our bases covered in here. I hope that you guys feel like that too. That you're not that you kind of know what's in front of you and are able to make or you have the ability to really score well on these last three things. And like I said, next week, the CPA grade will come flying into like a nice golden parachute of points to help you all with that as well. Anybody else? I thought there would be more questions, but maybe we've covered them. Nothing? Jeez.
When is our exam day set for?
Okay.
And how long will it be open?
Yep. And I'll type it in to our chat here in my typical aggressive all caps. The exam is open the entire week of finals. All right. It will be open on Monday, May 4th be with you. And no, nobody got that. It's like one of the great days in the history of Star Wars dorks. May the 4th be with you. And they'll be open Monday, May the 4th, and we'll run through all the way till midnight on that Friday, May the 8th. So make sure it's taken sometime within that time frame. Does that help there, Holly?
It sure does. I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. Again, final paper, that link has been made. So get your submission in sometime before May the 8th at midnight on that as well. And you can turn that in really anytime, starting now. If you're finished and you like what you have, you've read over it, you've sent it to a friend read over, or had mom or dad read over it, and you're good to go, then post it in there. Okay. But again, if you need me to read over it too, I'd be happy to do that. I don't know if there's anything else. I'm not sure that we need to kind of hit on anything else, unless you guys have any like other questions. I thought this has been a interesting experience. I hope that what we've been able to do here remotely has been beneficial. It's not the same, but I really do kind of miss interacting with you guys and seeing the interactions that we would have in class. But this is what it is, man. You just got to kind of deal with it. And hopefully, like I said, when I see you all in the fall, I will give you the most CDC appropriate embrace I'm allowed to at that point. Whether that's a good old school handshake, a new school elbow tap, or maybe just a friendly hello. We'll see. what we are allowed to do by then. I do kind of love when these little governors, we'll just call them that now, like they get on their little high horses and they start saying words like, I will allow that. I will allow people. They're like who the heck are you, dude? Like to allow that? Like you like, just, I don't know. The libertarian and the bucks and brays at government officials allowing us to do things like, by May 25th, I will allow groups of 10, but no more. Oh, okay, sure. Thanks there, Governor. Let's see. Other than that, guys, if any of you, I would love to see you on a future class. I really would. If any of you all need anything from me in the future, letter of rec, reference for a job interview, anything, don't hesitate to ask me. I would gladly stand up for any of you in here because I've really enjoyed this experience that we've had. It's been a beneficial class. Anything else? You're gonna miss our Zooms.
Well, thank you for the great semester, even though it was kind of weird. And
It was kind of weird.
But
Yeah.
thanks for the great semester. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for making the last semester great.
Oh, thanks. That's the kind of words are meaningful because I was a little kind of trepidatious at the beginning, like how is this going to work? And I think we made it. We made it work. So, and you guys should be proud of that too, because this is it's a team. We're on a team. All right, and glad you were here. So anything you need from me in the future, you just let me know. Okay. Awesome, guys. If you got anything else, send me questions. But until then, have a hopefully truly awesome summer. Let's hope, because that's all we can do is hope. All right. See y'all.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
See you.